guys, Monica here, and thank you so much for tuning in. So in today's tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to make a really pretty lace skater dress. It features a lined bodice and skirt, as well as pretty sheer lace sleeves. And it's actually pretty easy to make, and it is gorgeous. It will be the perfect dress for you to wear this upcoming holiday season, as well as all year long. So I hope you enjoy the tutorial, and let me know if you have any questions. You'll need at least 1.5 yards each of stretch lace fabric for the overlay and stretch knit fabric for the lining, and it's important that both fabrics stretch since we're not using a zipper. Grab a well-fitting skater dress for a template. Unlike in my first skater dress tutorial, we're not making a full circle skirt today, so you won't even need a circle skirt pattern. Fold the bodice over out of the way, then fold the skirt in half. Fold a portion of lace fabric over and make sure that the fabric stretches in the direction of the red arrows, perpendicular to the fold. Place the skirt down with the folds lining up, pin into place, then cut out the skirt. You'll want to cut at least 1/2 inch wider for seam allowance, but I actually cut it even bigger because I wanted more room in the waist area to create a gathered skirt and a longer length. Cut another lace skirt, then cut out 2 more in your solid lining fabric for a total of 4 skirt pieces, and make sure they all stretch along the waist. Fold your skater dress in half, then fold your lace fabric over, and again make sure the fabric stretches perpendicular to the fold. Then pin your template dress on the lace with the folds lining up. Cut around the bodice, leaving at least 1/2 inch for seam allowance. I cut the neckline higher, and then I cut about 1 inch wider on the sides so that I have plenty of room because it's better to have a little extra fabric than not enough. Make sure to leave seam allowance below the waistband too. Cut a second lace bodice, then cut 2 more in your lining fabric, making sure they all stretch the same way. Now to cut out sleeves, you can either use a sleeve pattern or take the easy way and just grab an old shirt you never use and cut the sleeve off to use as a pattern. You can get more in-depth information about this in one of my older videos, which I'll link in the description box, but basically just chop off the sleeve and you've got what you need. Grab the rest of your lace, and I know this is random, but doesn't this look like one of those things that blows around outside of businesses waving its arms in the air? Anyway, back to business. Fold your remaining lace in half, then grab your sleeve pattern and decide how long you want your new sleeve to be, folding the template to that size. Lay your sleeve down with the fold of the sleeve lining up with the fabric, pin it into place, and cut, making sure to include your seam allowance. Cut out a second sleeve, and we won't need lining for the sleeves since they're sheer, so at this point you're all done cutting and you'll have 2 lace sleeves, 2 each of lace and lining bodice pieces, and 2 each of lace and lining skirt pieces. Now this is completely optional, but at this point I decided to lower the front neckline a bit just by folding it over, putting a few pins in it just to keep it together, and then trimming it. If you do this, make sure to lower both the lining and lace piece. Lay a set of your lace and lining bodice pieces together with right sides facing, then pin and sew the pieces together along the neckline. Use a ballpoint needle and your machine stretch or zigzag stitch so that the seams don't pop when stretched. I used my machine's straight stretch stitch, which stitches once forward, once back, then forward again. When you turn it right side out, there's a beautifully finished neckline, and don't forget to do this for the other bodice piece. You can see that I've placed pins in the sides and armholes of each bodice just to keep the lace and lining together. Lay the 2 bodice pieces with the right sides facing together, then pin and sew along the shoulders and side seams to join them. Fold a sleeve in half with right sides facing and pin and sew along the straight edge. After sewing both sleeves, place a pin at the top point of the curve to mark the top center point of the sleeve. With the bodice facing inside out and a sleeve facing right side out, match up the top center point of the sleeve with the shoulder seam of the bodice and pin into place so that the correct sides of the lace on both the bodice and sleeve are facing. Slide the rest of the sleeve through the armhole, then match up the top edge of the sleeve seam to the armpit seam of the bodice and pin. Pin the rest of the sleeve to the armhole and sew it into place. When you flip everything, you'll have a sleeve attached and the correct side of the lace will be facing out on both the sleeve and bodice. Attach the second sleeve too. To hem the sleeves, turn the bodice back inside out, then fold the lace over about 1/4 inch once, then again, then pin into place, doing so around the entire sleeve. Stitch the hem into place, and here I chose to use one of the wider decorative stretch stitches because it kept the hem laying flat and it looked nice too. Hem both sleeves. Place a lining skirt and a lace skirt piece with right sides facing and then pin and stitch along the bottom edge of the skirt. Turn it so the right side is facing outward, and to keep the lace laying flat, you'll top stitch along the bottom hem about 1/8 of an inch from the edge. Since this seam isn't really going to be stretched like the other seams, I top stitched with a regular straight stitch. Now you'll have a neat bottom hem, so repeat with the other skirt piece. Pin along the edges of the skirts to keep the lining and lace in place. Lay the 2 lined skirt pieces together with right sides facing, then pin and sew with your stretch stitch along the sides to join them. Find the center of your skirt's waist between the side seams simply by folding it in half, and mark the center front and center back with pins for reference, then do the same with the center front and center back of your top, because this will make things easier in a moment. With the skirt turned inside out and the top facing right side out, slide the top, neck first, through the waist of the skirt. Match up your center front markings of each piece and pin them together. Repeat with the center back, then match up the side seams and pin them together as well. You should now have the side seams and the center front and center back pinned together. As you can see, the waist of the skirt is actually wider than the bodice, but since we're working with stretch fabric, this is just fine because it'll end up creating a nice cinched waist in the end. Finish pinning around the waist by stretching the fabric to be even and then placing pins in even increments every few inches. You can see here that the gathers of extra fabric are now evenly spaced, which makes it easy to sew. To attach the pieces together, you'll simply stretch each of those little sections of fabric you just pinned out evenly and sew with a stretch or zigzag stitch, making sure you keep the fabric stretched as you sew. Once you get to the end, just remove the pin and stretch the next section of fabric as you sew. It's that easy. Once you finish sewing, you're all done and you have a beautiful lace dress, so wear your hard work proudly. Thank you so much for watching, and if you have any questions, just let me know. I'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button, and I hope you have a great day. Bye! Tights up. Sorry. Wait till the wind dies down a little. In all year wrong. Oh, that was really good, too. Wait, what? See ya.
Okay, bye.